The 1861 Kansas quarter-dollar coin is a fascinating relic steeped in history, tying together the emergence of Kansas as a state, the turbulent era of the American Civil War, and numismatic intrigue. However, before delving into its specifics, it's essential to note that there is no widely recognized 1861 Kansas-specific quarter dollar issued by the U.S. Mint. Instead, any such coin would likely be an imaginative piece, a private minting, or a misinterpreted historical artifact. Yet, we can contextualize this idea by examining Kansas's history, coinage trends of the 1860s, and how numismatics intersects with history. Kansas became the 34th state to join the Union on January 29, 1861. A milestone amidst one of the most tumultuous periods in U.S. history. This was just months before the outbreak of the Civil War in April of the same year. Kansas had already earned a reputation as a battleground due to the violent conflicts of Bleeding Kansas, 1854 to 1859, where pro-slavery and anti-slavery factions clashed. The state's admission as a free state symbolized a triumph for abolitionists and intensified tensions between North and South. The United States Mint, under the influence of Mint director James Ross Snowden, was producing quarter dollars in 1861, featuring the iconic seated Liberty design. This design, created by Christian Gobrecht in the 1830s, depicted Liberty seated on a rock, holding a shield and a staff, symbolizing vigilance and freedom. Coins minted in 1861 primarily bore no special commemorations for Kansas or any other state. During this era, the Civil War heavily impacted minting operations, with precious metal shortages leading to decreased production. Most coins of this period were minted in Philadelphia or New Orleans. If a Kansas-themed coin from 1861 exists, it would likely be a privately minted commemorative piece or a modern collector's fantasy. In the 19th century, private entities often issued tokens and commemorative coins, especially during the Civil War. These pieces, known as Civil War tokens, filled the void left by the scarcity of official coinage. It's plausible that a Kansas-themed token from 1861 exists, celebrating its statehood or serving as political propaganda. Such tokens were typically made of copper or other base metals, not silver, and often bore patriotic or political slogans. The central element of the reverse would prominently display a buffalo, American bison, a majestic and powerful animal that symbolizes the Great Plains and the untamed natural beauty of Kansas. The bison could be depicted in profile, standing proudly on a patch of prairie grass to emphasize Kansas's expansive landscapes. Its stance might convey strength and resilience, qualities that align with Kansas's history of perseverance, especially during its fight to become a free state. The buffalo would be centered, with its head slightly turned, as if gazing into the horizon. Fine details like the texture of its fur and the curves of its horns would reflect the artistry of 19th-century coin engravings. Encircling the bison or appearing along the coin's edge would be sunflowers, Kansas's state flower. These sunflowers could be depicted in full bloom, symbolizing growth, prosperity, and the state's rich agricultural traditions. A wreath of sunflowers might frame the bison, adding symmetry to the design. The sunflowers would also represent hope and the state's sunny disposition, contrasting the hardships of the Civil War era. The coin would include standard inscriptions along with Kansas-specific elements, United States of America, positioned along the upper rim, E pluribus unum, placed above the bison, reinforcing national unity during the Civil War. Kansas, boldly displayed beneath the buffalo to signify the state's central role in the design. Quarter dollar, positioned at the bottom rim, denoting the denomination. The background could include subtle prairie grass, rolling hills, or even a glimpse of a setting sun to create depth and further emphasize Kansas's landscape. These details would give the design a dynamic yet balanced composition, characteristic of 19th century coin engravings. The overall style would match the intricate engraving techniques of the time, such as fine lines and shading to create texture and depth. The bison's musculature, the sunflower petals, and the prairie details would all be carefully etched to ensure the coin's beauty and realism. While no official Kansas quarter dollar existed in 1861, this design would have beautifully captured the essence of the state as it joined the Union. The buffalo and sunflower remain iconic symbols of Kansas, as later evidenced by the design of the 2005 Kansas State Quarter, which features both elements in a simplified modern style. This hypothetical 1861 design would have been a stunning and historically meaningful addition to 19th century U.S. coinage, celebrating Kansas's admission as the 34th state and its contributions to the nations. According to the NGC Price Guide, a seated Liberty quarter from 1861 in circulated condition is worth between $25 and $455. However, on the open market, 1861 quarters in pristine, uncirculated condition sell for as much as $42,500.